Hello and welcome to Tim's BMW Repairs and Information. Now, if you want to know what the end of the story with the F12 650i, the lovely red one that started rattling, I'll tell you all about it at the end. This is all about the Z4. In fact, it covers quite a few models of BMW with the N52 engine. Now, there's one job that is absolutely imperative on these cars if you buy an old one, especially if it's done short miles. This has done 40,000 miles. Now, the F12 had only done 14,000 miles at the most, and there's a lesson for all of us there. Yeah. Now, with an old car with short miles, the timing chain tensioner will seize up. There's no doubt about it. And when it seizes up, the timing chain will slowly stretch and it will start flapping the timing chain guides, which are plastic. It'll just thrash them to death. So I've done the job on this car already. I quite often do that. I usually record it and then do the intro. And I have the timing chain tensioner from this car and it is stuck. Now, if it doesn't have a wash on, it's the original one. Now, there was a recall for the N52 to have the timing chain tensioner changed. But this one's been in there a while and it has failed. Right, let's give the chain tensioner a clout. See if we can get it going again. That's got it going again already. Excellent. See the oil coming out of there. That's where the oil goes in. No, this one's too sticky. Even after that, you can't use it. So yeah, very, very glad I changed that. That would have been a hiding to nothing. Give it another 5,000–10,000 miles. That would have been knocking the old chain guys to bits. Strange that one, isn't it? It's the varnish in it, that's the trouble. It's got a spring in it, all right. Oh, there we go. Just about. You feel all the bore is all graunchy. Yeah, that's not good at all. And I freed it up, but as you move it's stuck again. Yeah, as you move the piston down, it's graunching all the way down. The reason for that is long oil changes, which is why I mentioned having short miles on old cars. The reason for that is the oil only gets changed every couple of years, and that's the BMW service period. Every 2 years is fine with BMW specialist oils, but once you've got past the warranty period and all the rest of it, servicing is usually done somewhere else, and they don't use long life oils, and then they break down. And when they break down, detergent breaks down, which is one of the main things, and it stops washing away the shellac and the varnish. Now, the varnish, if it gets into a timing chain tensioner, absolutely ruins it. It makes them stick, and that's what this one's done. So the job isn't that hard. It's something that anyone can do. I'm 66, and all I needed was a spanner and a Torx drive. Don't lose the Torx bit like I did. So the job's quite simple. I'll quickly explain it. We remove the engine covers. Just gives us a tiny bit more access. I remove the little plastic engine cover, so it's a bit easier to see what I'm up to. A few screws on it, looks like 4. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Wonder where the DSC, ASC control unit is, because it used to be right next to the manifold on the V8, on the E38, and that used to kill them. So hopefully they've learnt their lessons and put it somewhere else, or at least behind a heat shield with a bit of luck. Ooh, that's good. That comes off quite easily. We loosen the expansion tank. That gives us another bit of access. And then there's a cable clip, which you pull the cables out of because they're right next to the tensioner, and you don't want to get a spanner trapped between that and the cables. And eventually, finally, there's also a pipe in the way, one of the coolant pipes. So we move that, just unclips and move it slightly out of the way. Right, let's have a quick look in there, see what we've got to contend with. Rightio, so That shiny silver thing, that's the end of the timing chain tensioner. Then we've got air conditioning pipe with the heat shield on it, and then we've got a few wires around. And also there's a clamp for the wires, so we should be able to move those out of the way. We'll have a look and see what we can do. We also need to get a cloth in there because we're going to lose some oil, and it'd be a shame to spoil this. Now, I'm used to the V8s with oil being everywhere. This hasn't got any oil anywhere. It looks absolutely perfect. And then it's just a case of using a spanner to get the thing undone. Now, you can't get a socket in there. There's not enough room. Well, certainly not a socket I was using, and I used tried universal joints and stuff like that. It wasn't going to fit. So a spanner is the way to go. 27mm spanner. This is a 5/8 Whitworth or 11/16 British standard. So an imperial one from about 1930, I should think. That's the right size. And that's the only thing I've got around 27mm. So really it's just a case of putting a cloth under it, undoing the timing chain tension. Now look at the length of it. You can imagine it's about 20 or 30 turns to get that out. All the time you've got to have your cloth underneath it to stop the oil dripping anywhere. Don't want any oil anywhere because it's pristine in there. It's a bit sort of dirty, but there's no oil leaks at all. Anyway, right, let's see if I can get a spanner on that. I know I can get a spanner on it because I've practiced already. And not only can I get a spanner on it, I can also undo it. There we go. As you can see, there's very little room. And then you take about an hour turning 1/16 of a turn at a time with your 27mm spanner, catching the oil all the time. Right, I'll bring you in there. I'll take my cloth out of the way. We've got a bit of oil down there, but not much. I'll clean that up before I put the new tensioner in. As you can see, there's a reasonable amount of room on a Straight-Six. See, so this is an air conditioning pipe here. That's where the tensioner goes. A few wires which are held in by this clamp, so I've taken them out of that. Get a swing on the spanner, it will get, the lambda sensor gets in the way. But we get enough swing to be able to do it. And from this side, I'll take you around there. The lower pipe out of this pair here, I've disconnected from the clamp and pushed it down. That helps us a little bit. Because there's that pipe that runs down. There's where the tensioner goes. I'm going to have to clean up that oil, then I put the tensioner in, and before I start the car, I remove all the coilover plug connections. And that are these here, so they're quite accessible. 6 of them. Old one out, new one in. Get it all back in and tighten up. It's only about 30 Newton meters or something like that. You need to tighten them up. Move that again. Yeah, it gives me a tiny bit more swing. Right, here we go. Right, that's the crush washer crushed. Got to use the washer. It's a crush washer, and that'll deform and it will stay in there. It's not coming out again. Now, an optional thing, which is always try to do, is to not start the engine. So in this case, I removed all the coilover plug connectors and then cranked the engine. Builds up oil pressure into the timing chain tensioner, and you're good to go. Put all the connections back on again. Now, every time I say this, someone says, "You're washing down the cylinders, you're a fool. Why don't you disconnect the fuel pump?" I'll tell you why. First of all, if you just disconnect the fuel pump, the system's still pressurized. It's still got fuel pressure throughout the rail. The car will start. So what you have to do is you have to remove the fuel pump fuse or relay, crank it until it stops running, and then do your work. And what may happen is a bit of residual fuel might still be in the lines and it'll fire up, and you don't want it to do that. So disconnecting the connections to the coilover plug units, which is simple, 5-minute job, it's not going to start. It's not going to wash down the bores. Ever since the M60 engine in about 1988 when it was designed. If you don't get a spark, you don't get injecting fuel. Been like that for absolutely years. So no spark, no fuel, you don't wash down the bores. It's as simple as that. So yeah, that's the last stage. Disconnect all the coilover plug units. Plug units, disconnect. 1, 2. Yeah, a bit awkward to get them out, especially when you've got all this cabling in the way. There you go, that's number 5. And number 6. Right, wash hands, turn it over. And crank the car, build up the oil pressure. About 10, 20, 30 seconds at the very most. Plug's disconnected. Let's turn it over, lights off. Good thing I've got a brand new battery, that's what I say. Here we go.
I just sentenced you to exit.
That'll do. Connect all the coils, start it up, job done. Right, reconnect the coilover plug units. I've taken the key out and moved it out of the way. Don't want these live when you plug them in. Some of them are a bit fiddly, but compared to the V8, especially the N52, that is a terrible engine to work on. Get one of the coilover plug units out to lift the engine up. Right, key in the ignition, foot on the brake. Lovely. Oh, that sounds lovely, that does. Lovely ticking of the old tappets in the injectors. Very, very nice. I do like that. Slowing down. No rattle from the timing chain. What have we got coming out of here? Yeah, obviously a little burning off of oil required here. Got onto the manifold. Doesn't take long to heat up, does it? I do like this engine a lot. Right, I think what I do is I clean up the manifolds. Not brake cleaner, don't use black brake cleaner on this plastic, it doesn't do it any good. Smell of burning oil. Check for leaks. We're okay, no leak from the timing chain tensioner. Shouldn't be, we gave it a good old tighten. Oh, that's a lovely engine, I do like that. Especially compared with the N63, which is a bag of spanners and a few nails jangling around. Right, what we're going to use to clean the engine is Bmw Z6. Usually a gloss enhancer, but it works really well on oils and stuff. And it does leave it reasonably shiny as well. Engine off and engine covers on. Right. We'll clean that up a bit first. It's not too bad. That's nice. Let's see if we can get the engine cover back on without losing any more Torx bits. That'd be interesting. Okay, let's get them back in. So that's number one most important job you need to do. If you've just bought an N52, change the timing chain tensioner. That's them all in. Excellent. Fantastic. Ooh, kite. No, that's a buzzard. What's he doing around here? That's unusual. Don't you get buzzards here? He's being chased by a kestrel. How fantastic. Anyway, there we go then. I'm really, really, really pleased I've done that. Most important, the blimmin' timing chain tensioner was stuck like a good one. So I would have thrashed the engine to bits in a very short order. It would have taken about another 5,000–10,000 miles and timing chain guides were being thrashed to bits. And that'd be the end of that. So I'd have to change the timing chain guides and all the rest of it. Something you don't want to do. Now, I spent a nice morning changing this timing chain tensioner, and I'm happy as Larry, I really am, because I don't have to worry about it anymore. So anyway, put the thumbs up if you enjoyed that. Yeah, keep subscribing, keep commenting, love the comments. Always try to answer the comments as soon as possible. And I'll see you in the next one. Righty-ho, as promised, here's the end of the 650i F12 saga. If you remember, I bought the lovely F12 a little while ago, probably coming up to 2 or 3 months now. It's getting close to it. Fantastic car, such a find, because it's only done 12,777 miles. It'd never been out in the rain, been kept garaged all the time. Everything was perfect on it. The soft top, although I'm not that keen on soft tops, was black, jet black, no marks on it whatsoever. And the underneath of the car, because I saw the underneath of it when it got put on the low loader, just like a new car. Interior like a new car. The whole thing was like a new car. Took a while to get used to the F12 twin turbo. It was horrendously fast. It really was. It has 8 gears and twin turbos and over 400 horsepower. It was a very, very fast car. I loved it, and we did a trip up to Longleat, but on the way back it started making a funny ticking noise. And here's a quick sound check of that. Yeah, the funny ticking was, I noticed straight away once we got halfway back from Longleat. And then I noticed that when I accelerated, it roared rather than having a smooth Teutonic push of angels. And yeah, that wasn't right. So anyway, I did the video of it and put it up on YouTube. Have everyone have a look at it and give me ideas what they think it is. And I immediately got in touch with the garage because it's got 3 months warranty on it. I sent the video to him and he said, yeah, don't drive it up here, put it on the low loader, which I did, got it back up to the garage. The salesman had a go in the car and said it sounded fine to him. I said, well, if you think it's fine, take it to BMW and they'll have a listen to it. And hopefully they'll come up with the same conclusions that all my commenters did. On that video, I had 120 of them telling me what they thought was wrong. And a tranche of them said the same thing, and I agree with them. And I'll tell you what that is in a minute. So on the 12th, which is only a few days ago, it's the 16th now, it went to BMW. And BMW said there's nothing wrong with it, basically. Just the high pressure injectors and the normal noises from the N63. Okay, so they said there's a little rattle from the wastegate on one of the turbos, but that's wear and tear and not covered under the warranty. Righty-ho, so now I'm in a bit of a sticky situation. What are my options? Because I could bring the car back here, take it to BMW myself, get a report done on it, and they may say exactly the same thing. It's perfectly normal. You'd hope not, because it just didn't sound right at all. That would mean going back up to where it's an hour's drive at least, get the car with my wife and come back home again and all the rest of it. I didn't want to do that. And I also knew that I didn't have a leg to stand on. What I think and what all the commenters think is hearsay. It doesn't matter. It's not going to stand up in a court of law. Now, if BMW say that it sounds fine to them, what can I say? And the garage was kind enough to take it to BMW. I mean, they had the chance that they'd say, you know, there's something horribly wrong with it, in which case that would have been the end of that. But they didn't. But the garage was good enough to say, okay, you don't want the car, we'll buy it back from you. And that was the best news I could have got. Now, I lose some money, obviously, because the car's now got another owner, so it's not worth as much. It only had one owner when I bought it. Garage has got to sell it again. They've got to make a profit. That's all fair enough. So that really is the long and short of it. The fact that I've sold the car, the garage has bought the car, I've got the money for the car, I'm happy, the garage is happy. It's the best outcome. Now, I couldn't sell it myself personally because I think there's something wrong with it. So I couldn't, in my own conscience, sell a car which I wasn't happy with. Only ever sell my cars when they're working really well. Okay, so what do I think and what do the commenters think is wrong with the car? I think it lost oil pressure. Simple as that. That's why it started ticking from the top end. It needs a good oil supply to the top end to stop it. All the hydraulic tappets and the Valvetronic and the Vanos ticking away. And the raw is probably the bottom end because that relies on oil pressure to support the bearings. So that's what I think, and that's what most of the commenters thought was wrong with the car. Okie dokie, so that's really the end of the story, but it has got excellent news, which it brought me to the Z4. I love Z4s now. I think they're perfect cars. Got not so much power, probably about 100, 150 horsepower short of a F12. Brilliant things to drive altogether. I've got so many things I'm going to do to it. I've got new number plates to put on as usual. I've got facelift indicators to put on. I enjoy putting them on. I've got bags full of stuff. BMW badges. I've already done the front badge and stuff like that. So you'll be getting all of those videos. So that's the end of the F12 story. Don't hear about it anymore. I've had enough of soft tops and 650i's. I'm now a Z4 owner and of course an E31 owner as well. And I think I'm going to carry on with Z4s for a long time. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you again.